enough of the ball. Some broken bat, some off the end, yes, but they haven't been swinging and missing much. The foul tip off of Fordyce. 1-2.
Bobby calls those head knockers.
9 runs, 11 hits. The Reds led 2-0 after 2.5. Nice stop by Fordyce. He's all over the place back behind the dish. 2-2 the count. Tucker at second. Chipper at first. Got him with a good off-speed pitch. First strikeout for Kevin Jarvis. And the 9th batter to come to the plate is Andrew Jones. He lined out to left field in the last inning. And the Braves sent 8 men to the plate. Two walks prior to that tonight. Big curve taken for a strike. First time we've seen that from Jarvis. Out of play, 0-2. I think with all these left-handers in the rotation for the Reds in this series, Skip, that you would guess that Andrew would get a lot of at-bats here in this 3-game series. I think that'll help him.
I think Bobby's happy about that, too. It's a very delicate thing with a guy this young and this talented. You don't want to put too much pressure on him, but you got to let him play to learn what he needs to learn.
Check swing. They'll have trouble throwing him out. Jarvis hurries. Can't get him. Base hit. Bases loaded for Hobby, who led off the inning with a base hit. Everything going the Braves' way tonight.
Yeah, he's fooled on this pitch. He couldn't have rolled it out there much better. Jarvis would really have been better advised to hang on to that ball. He could have thrown it down the right field line.
Javi Lopez is 2 for 3. He has scored a run. This inning, he's 1 for 1 with a run scored. And sends one deep to left. If it's fair, it's a slam. Foul. Just foul. Whew.
Well, when he guesses right, he can hit the ball about as far as anybody.
Oh, he said that they were trying to keep the ball in on his hands. He was sitting and waiting for that one.
He was too ready. He just got around on it a little bit too early.
He had a feeling, too. And he hit it up into the terrace level above the walkway there.
That's an EF air fan on that foul ball.
Just a loud strike. Change up. One went about 450 feet. That one rolled 90 feet. Both strikes. And very close to multiplying those numbers. Braves lead 9-2. Bases loaded. Got him looking. Inning over. Good comeback by Jarvis. Braves sent 10 runners to the plate. 5 hits in the inning. We go to the 6th. 9-2 Atlanta.
Nine runs, 12 hits in 5 innings. Denny Nagel once trailed 2-0, but he's breezing now, and that's your Budweiser game summary. And I'm going to go find out about Don Gullett and the World Series because it's not in their media guide.
No, is that right?
But I'll be back.
Okay. Are you sure it's not in the media guide? For the Reds in the 6th inning, Reggie Sanders, Eduardo Perez, and then Brett Boone. Braves fans enjoying the last couple of innings. 8 runs and 10 hits. Reggie Sanders was hit by a pitch in the first inning, struck out in the third. Denny Nagel has really settled down after the first inning. It's ahead 0-1. The only guy that's really been a pain in the neck to him, Deion Sanders, who has been on 3 times. No one else has reached base since the first inning. A little low, 1-1. Tomorrow night, John Smoltz against former Brave Kent Merker. Off-speed pitch, bounced to third. Chipper tried to run in and smother a hop, but couldn't get it. And we'll wait to see how they scored. It's going to be a base hit for Reggie Sanders. The only play Chipper had really was to try to hurry and get it on the in-between hop. Tried to come in and play the hop, and the ball didn't come up for him like he thought. 5 hits for the Reds, and the batter is Eduardo Perez, who has singled in 2 trips. He has stayed hot. Takes a strike. There goes Sanders. The pitch swung on, grounded to short. Braves won't have a chance for the double play. Lauser fires to first in time. 1 down.
It worked, but isn't it a little odd to be playing hit and run down 9-2?
Yeah, it is. I'm sure that Sanders just had a green light, and he was trying to get into scoring position, and it coincided with a ground ball. Brett Boone is fighting it. 0 for 2 tonight. 5 for 37 here at the beginning of the year. And a guy who's been a forgotten Red over the last week, Ruben Sierra, on deck. He hasn't played since last Wednesday. High to Boone, ball 1. They've got a lot of Chicago Cub-like averages and streaks going right now from the offensive side. A lot of guys in the 100s, including Boone, who takes high 2-0. Pitcher spot is due up next, and that's why Sierra has a bat. There goes Sanders. Pitch is fouled back. Now then, a lot of times you're told if they give it to you, take it. But when you're down 9-2, I'm not sure that that's such a necessary move.
Well, you better be sure you make it, or you really look foolish. What has happened to this Ruben Sierra?
I don't know, Skip. When I saw him in Texas, his first 2 or 3 years in the American League, it was like he had MVP across his chest. It was just a matter of time as to when he was going to get it. He could hit. He could hit with power. He could run and throw. Call strike to Boone, 2-2. And I really thought last year when he went to Detroit, that would be a great spot for him.
222 over there.
Yeah. Boone's average now at $1.35. Nagel taking forever to get the sign. Now he's ready. Hit hard. Chipper can't handle it. That's down the line, and that's going to score Sanders. Boone on his way to second, and he'll make it. And we'll wait to see how they score that one. That ought to be a boot. Oh, they give him a hit. I agree it was hit hard, but Chipper got handcuffed on that a little bit, and I thought it was an error.
We'll look again. He got in front of it. You're right. Big league player. I think Chipper would tell you he should make that play.
Yeah, I agree. Brett Boone will take it. He could use the hit. But that was a scorer's gift for Brett Boone. Still 1 out. And the batter is Ruben Sierra. who was benched while hitting .207, 6 for 29 at the beginning of the season. No homers, only 1 RBI, 11 strikeouts in his first 29 at bats. He's a switch hitter, and he takes low, ball 1. His best year, 1989 with the Rangers. 29 home runs, 119 RBIs, and that led the American League. And he also led the league in triples with 14. Big swing and fouled it back.
Doesn't Detroit pay like $5.5 million of a $6 million salary?
I think it's a huge amount.
That's a good move for the Reds, even if it doesn't work. It doesn't cost them anything, right?
He did drive in 72 runs last year, combined between the Yankees and Tigers, but his home runs were down to 12. The 1-1 pitch. Hit hard on the ground to short. Boone moves to third, but Blauser will throw out Sierra. 2 down, and the batter will be Fordyce.
I guess I don't understand this game. Why is he going to third in this spot? The Braves could have thrown him out. They chose to play it safe with a big lead. But they're playing as if they have the lead. The Reds are.
Taking a lot of chances, that is for sure. Maybe they feel like the Braves have such a lead that they're not worried about runners moving over. Fordyce is lined out, grounded out. That's Brad Klontz down in the Braves bullpen. He's on the middle pitching rubber of the 3. Ned Yost on the one on the left. Nagel falls behind Fordyce 2-0.
Some designer of the next new ballpark is now trying to figure out how to get 4 pitching rubbers.
3-0. Nagel running out of juice, it looks like, here in the 6th inning. After giving up 2 in the first, he cruised through the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, actually through the 5th inning. And now can't find the plate. That'll bring up Eric Owens. It's his 2nd walk. And Leo's going to find out if Brad Klontz is ready. Owens came in a double switch in the bottom of the 4th inning. Got an at bat in the 5th and flied out. Deion Sanders would be next. And I don't think Eric Owens is going to face Denny Nagel. Here comes Bobby Cox. Let's see what Bobby's going to do. I think he knows that Denny's running on empty here, so he may be just giving Klontz enough time to get a few extra pitches in the bullpen. Yeah. He's going to bring in Klontz, so that'll do it for Denny Nagel. We'll be back to give you Klontz's numbers right after this.
Tonight on the NBA on TBS, catch the 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference face off as Michael Jordan and the Bulls travel to Miami to face the Heat. Bob Neal, Chuck Daly will have all the action at 8 o'clock Wednesday. The NBA on TBS. Chuck Daly, the only man in the world, has more suits than Bob Neal, and you see them both on display Wednesday night.
I think that's a preview of the Eastern Conference Championship.
No, the Hawks will be in there somehow, maybe. I hope.
Yeah, me too. The way they're playing right now, I believe they will be. Brad Klontz makes his 7th appearance, as you see. He's already got 2 wins. 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. The league only hitting $150 against him, however. And Eric Owens has been called back, and Lenny Harris is going to come out and pinch hit.
That leaves them Willie Green, Ed Taubensee, and Jeff Branson on the bench.
Lenny Harris hitting 167, 2 for 12. 0 for 2 as a pinch hitter.
They double switched in the 4th inning to get Eric Dillon into the game, and he never gets to hit. I don't get it.
How about taking Hal Morris out of the game? I know Morris is struggling, but when was the last time you saw him pulled from a game midway through? So runners are at the corners. The Reds have a run in. They've closed the gap to 9-3 and could do some more damage here if Harris can connect. And he does. 9-4. On his way to the gap. Fordyce going to be waved home. The relay to Blauser. No throw made. A 2-run pinch hit double for Lenny Harris.
Oh, so that's why you did it.
Yeah. Those runs charged to Denny Nagel.
He just hit the ball where it was pitched, and it really took off and scooted on this grass. Tucker did a great job of getting to the ball, but 2 runs scored. And they're creeping back into this thing.
Down to a 4-run lead, and Deion Sanders, who's been on base 3 times tonight, stands in with a runner at second. Takes a strike. He has singled twice. He has walked once. He has scored a run, and he has stolen 4 bases for a career high. One of the things he has done, Skip, that makes it tough on pitchers, is he's changed his stance. See how he crowds the plate. His hands are halfway out over home plate. And he invites you to pitch him inside. He's strong enough. He can turn on the ball and certainly has the outside part of the plate covered.
Embry and Bird in the Atlanta bullpen, by the way, as you see.
Deion almost has his back foot out of the box. One and 2 the count. I think when a guy does that, though, especially if you've got anything on your fastball, you got to come in there to make him at least think that you will try to pitch him inside, even though that's where he wants you to pitch him. If you pitch a ball in there, that's fine. The 1-2 delivery. Got him. Good sinking fastball. Clock strikes out Sanders. But the Reds back in this ball game. They get 3 runs on 3 hits. 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. 9-5 Atlanta. Hits in the game by both sides. Ruben Sierra stays in the game to play left field. And now pitching and batting in the 9th spot will be right-hander Ricky Bonas. 27 years old. 6 feet, 193 pounds. Out of Puerto Rico. There are his numbers, and they're not too pretty. Spent most of his career with Milwaukee.
By the way, you were right about Don Gullett. He was 19 when he was.
Is that right?
Yeah, I just talked with Marty Brenneman.
I knew he was in his teens. I didn't know it was 18 or 19. This guy last year was traded from Milwaukee to New York, but the Yankees claimed that when they got him, he was damaged goods and sent him back, and they get Graham Lloyd, who turned out to be a godsend for them in the postseason.
And Listash was the other guy that they sent back, right? Now the Houston shortstop? Yeah.
7-14 for Milwaukee before the deal. He's going to be a swing guy right now for Ray Knight, starting and relieving. He'll face the bottom third of the Braves order. Lemke, Blauser, and the pitcher's spot due up. Lemke takes a strike. Mark tonight, a single and 2 walks and 2 runs scored. Kevin Jarvis, an inning and a third, 5 hits, 4 runs, all earned. He walked 2 and struck out 2. Changeup misses. Through 5 innings tonight, the Braves are 12 for 27. And combined, here at the start of the season at Turner Field. The team is hitting .346 here.
Ball doesn't carry here, though, very well, does it?
Yes. Hasn't yet.
Maybe when it gets hot again.
2-2 to Lemke. Two pitch, number to short. Larkin waits for a good hop, and the good arm gets him. You know, the thing about Barry Larkin, and I'm sure Pete Don talked about this some too, is that with an Achilles injury, or even the danger of one, I mean, he's so vital to this ball club. I don't think that they can go anywhere in the Central Division without Barry Larkin. And he doesn't want to go on the disabled list, and it's really a catch-22 situation for them. Lauser takes low.
You got to admire them too. Admire him, though. I mean, he's got the money in the bank. He could easily say, "Yeah, I'll go on the DL and not help my team." And they still got to pay him, but he wants to earn it. I admire that. Although, if he goes against the doctor's orders, which I don't think he's done, then he may be hurting himself and his team.
3-0 to Blauser with Keith Lockhart on deck. He'll bat for Brad Clons. Paul Bird continuing to throw in the Braves bullpen. Looks like he'll work the 7th. Lockhart has faced bonus a lot in the American League, and he's had some pretty good success. Blauser hit the ball hard. Pokey Reese comes up with this one and throws him out 2 down. And Keith Lockhart, the batter, has faced Ricky Bonas 13 times in his career. He's 6 for 13. Lockhart 1 for 7. 1 for 4 as a pinch hitter, though, with 2 RBIs. Big RBIs. That's out of play. Changeup misses. The last time the Braves went in order was the first inning. And Lockhart going to try to see that doesn't happen again. 2-1. Two and two. Good pitch. There was one report that had Bonas starting tonight instead of Pete Shurik.
Their pitching is in disarray.
2-2 delivery, foul back. Fordyce out to talk to Bonas, maybe about how they want to finish off Lockhart if they can. Kenny Lofton waits on deck. The 2-2 pitch. Hit hard to right field, but Reggie Sanders right there. He's got it, and the inning comes to an end. So the Braves do indeed go 1, 2, 3 in the 6th, and we head to the 7th with Atlanta on top, 9-5. Hits for the Braves, 5 runs, 7 hits and an error for the Reds. As you can see, the Braves fans enjoying this comeback. Atlanta at one time trailed 2-0. And as we go to the 7th, a new pitcher for the Braves, Paul Bird, will take over, and taking over for us, Skip Carey.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much. Bird didn't have that great a spring, but since the season started, he's gotten it done. This is his 4th game in 5 innings, 3 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, but no runs in the league, hitting just 176 against him. Jeff Branson comes on to pinch hit here for Cincinnati. So they're down to 2 men. He's hitting for Pokey Reese. This guy's a pretty good ball player, especially against right-hand pitching. He fouls the first pitch away. It's 0-1. Nobody on, nobody out. 7th inning. Branson just 1 for 7 this year. The 0-1 pitch. Low and inside. A ball and a strike. Again, he gets around late, fouls it for the screen, and falls out in front. Ball and 2 strikes.
Branson's one of those guys, though, Skip, that when you do put him up there to pinch hit, he doesn't go up there looking for a walk. He's up there hacking away.
Bird out of Louisville, Kentucky. Another LSU product. Chopper to short. Blauser in between hops. Smothers it. Throws him out. 1 down. Played that one off the old breadbasket. 1 away.
Trying to get the good hop, and if you do that, then you really have to hurry if you've got a decent runner at the plate. Got him by a good step.
So 1 is out, and here's Barry Larkin, 1 for 3. Drove in a run and later scored 1 in the first. The Reds once led here 2-0. Now they trail 9-5. 0-1 the count. Braves got Bird and the Greg McMichael deal. Mack is off to a great start over New York, by the way. Larkin's in the hole 0-2.
Yeah, that's good to see for Greg going to a new ball club and under that microscope in that city.
And in the process, Larkin is out of there, 2 down, and a great start for Paul Bird.
He's got a nasty slider, as we saw in that great battle with Jeff Bagwell here last week. Uses it to strike out Larkin, too.
So the first 2 are gone in a hurry. Reggie Sanders, the batter. He's 1 out of 2. He's been hit by a pitch. He has struck out, singled, and scored. Downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. We're in the 7th. Braves lead at 9-5. The Chicago Cubs play the Colorado Rockies tomorrow, seeking to avoid a National League record for futility at the start of a season.
Western Division playing some pretty good baseball right now.
Ground ball to second. Whoa, funny hop, but Lemmer stayed with it. Threw him out, and Bird breezes through the 7th in 1-2-3 fashion. We go to the bottom half of the 7th inning with your score. Braves 9, Cincinnati 5. Here tonight, Jeff Branson stays in the game to play third base for Cincinnati. And we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. And the top of the order up there for Atlanta: Austin, Tucker, and Chipper Jones.
Austin and Tucker have continued their good work tonight that they started yesterday. Lofton had a great series in Chicago, but combined over the last 2 games, they've just been tearing it up. 5 runs and 8 RBIs between them.
Kenny 3 out of 4, and he has scored 3 runs and driven in 2. He and Bonus know all about one another, having battled in the American League for the last 5 years or so. And Bonus has had the better of it. Lofton hitting just 188 against him. 6 for 32. Tucker is 12 out of 4. Or 4 out. That would be some feat.
That would be.
Yeah. Let's try 4 out of 12. He shortens the bunt, takes it low. 2 balls and a strike.
Bonus has a good straight changeup as long as he doesn't slow everything else down when he's delivering it, telegraphing it.
The 2-1. That's low. 3 balls and a strike. Nobody on, nobody out. Bottom of the 7th. Braves in Florida tied for the Eastern Division lead. High chop. Larkin off the glove into short right field. Lofton stays at first. See how they scored.
I think that's got to be a base hit. I don't know that they were going to throw him out even if they gloved it cleanly.
And that's the way they scored, as you see.
13 hits tonight for the Braves, 4 for Kenny Lofton. How many did he have yesterday?
3 hits.
3 hits yesterday, his first 3 at bats.
And now the pressure is on the other team with speed in the batter's box and at first base. Braves win tonight. They take the lead in the division. Florida probably looking in at home tonight. They host the Cardinals tomorrow.
And don't forget the out Lofton made tonight was leading off the game and a line shot right at Pokey Reese.
1 ball, no strikes. If you like pitchers, this has been a great game. You really enjoyed it because we've had a bunch of them. Two and out. Chipper is next.
And they better keep an eye on Lofton. Even with a 4-run lead, that is not such a big lead that he would shut down his running game.
Especially where the Reds have played it. That's what Bonus is thinking too. Fairly close over there, but he gets back on it.
That was always Maury Will's theory. He said, if the other team will tell me that they won't try to score, then I won't try to score anymore.
Well, that makes sense. Of course, the other way to look at that is that the fan who pays his money pays to see 9 innings of you trying to do your best. Braves have out hit him 13-7, outscored him 9-5. 2-0 pitch. Here it is. 3 balls, no strikes. So he's getting himself in a mess here. The 3-0 split the heart of the plate. It's 3-1. The outfield gives him room in right center field. Dion shades him to left.
One of the things a manager can do when you have a good-sized lead is put the take on 3-0 as he did for Tucker. But 3-1, Bobby Cox is going to let his guys hack away, rest assured.
Runner goes, pitches a strike, throw is a 1-hopper, and Lofton has a stolen base. Full count on Tucker.
We were talking over on radio, Skip, about how Dion and Kenny have to be juiced up for this series, competing a little bit one-on-one. But what about the catchers? A lot of pressure on them, and they've got to be juiced up too, and some bad throws from the catchers tonight trying to throw these guys out.
Yeah, a lot of 1-hoppers have made their way to second. 3-2 pitch. Ground ball to short. Runner moves over. The stolen base. Oh, that was close at third. He just did get him.
Oh, boy.
Tucker can really run.
That Corrales applauding the hustle of Michael Tucker, and I don't know. Watch Larkin. He'll take a look at Lofton and then throw to first. And barely got him. Good call by Charlie Relaford.
Yeah, that little glance almost cost him. Barry Larkins filed that one away. Infield in. Downstairs, 1 ball, no strike. Oh, boy. The throw back to the pitcher almost wound up in center field. That would have sent Ray Knight to the water cooler for sure.
And even as this game has gone, at least Barry Larkin was heads up. He was moving that direction.
The weather's a little nippy here, but even if it gets a lot colder, I don't think Ray's going to be doing any skiing while he's here in town.
Isn't that something?
He got knocked for a loop out in Denver. What was it? He could, after he was knocked unconscious, he could remember who the owner of the team was, but he couldn't remember who his center fielder was.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
what
know
somebody
that.
told me. 3 balls, no strikes. The way things are going, he might have been better off reversing those. The 3-0, he's swinging and lines it just over the Reds dugout.
Well, that's scary. That's something like what we saw yesterday in Chicago.
Did that get into the dugout or go over?
I think it went into the dugout because the fans are asking for the souvenir, and Ray, with a little smirk on his face, it must have been right at his direction.
3 balls and a strike. Infield in, runner at third, and 1 out. Just missed outside. Fred McGriff has a chance to do some damage. That is the 7th walk of the night for Cincinnati pitching. The first for bonus. So McGriff stands in. Fred has never faced Ricky Bunce.
They've been starting Fred with a lot of off-speed pitches. Let's see if he's looking for one.
That's what he got, but it was low and away. Stan Belinda begins to throw for the Reds, and here comes Don Gullett. This is the 4th or 5th time he's been out there tonight.
Stan Belinda with a little piece of history
Oh, boy.
for Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, doesn't he?
But he dreams about Frankie Cabrera and Sid Bream sliding. He's the guy that gave up that base hit. But he's not the first guy that ever gave up a base hit in a big spot, and he's had a fine major league career. 1 ball, no strikes. Two and 0, but let's put it this way. We're all glad that we're playing in this beautiful new ballpark, and I bet he is too.
I'll bet he is too.
He's seen enough of that old one.
Another 2-0 count for a Braves hitter.
Make that 3-0. Andrew Jones on deck.
Now then, Ray Knight had his infield in with Chipper up there, 3-0. He was hacking away and fouled that one off in the dugout. The infield's back now, playing for 2. Let's see if Bobby's going to let Fred hack away. I'm going to guess he is.
He was swinging if he got a pitch to his liking, but he didn't. So Bonus walks 2 in a row and loads them up. Boy, the Braves have had base runners all over the place. They have left 8. They've been the recipient of 8 walks, and they've pounded out 13 hits. Andrew tonight has walked twice, flied to left, and legged out an infield hit. Infield back.
He's one of the few guys tonight that's been having to hit behind in the count.
Now Bonus comes set, and as he comes set, Ray Knight comes wandering out of the dugout.
Wow.
Really odd looking.
Wow, he was really late coming out of the dugout. Bonus was about to deliver a pitch, and it really caught Bonus off guard, too. I've never seen that before.
They got to take him out because it's the second visit.
Yeah.
Don Gullett was just out there. So Stan Belinda will come on out of the bullpen for the Reds. With the bases loaded and 1 out, and Andrew Jones the batter. And he better be coming in, but I don't see him come through the gate yet. At any rate, we'll be back right after this.
We'll be back with you tomorrow evening at 7:35 here on TBS. John Smoltz against Kent Merker in the second game of this 3-game series. And we've also got that business fan special for you on Wednesday, too. And that'll be Greg Maddux against John Smiley. Hope you'll be with us for that one, too.
That's the one we always see all the dads about 45 years old bringing their 20-year-old daughters. Well, Belinda completes his warm-up.
Boy.
And Andrew Jones ready to stand in there. Good. Bases loaded, 1 out. Belinda appears in his 7th game already. Has an earned run average of 4.05. 6 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, 3 homers.
Since we saw him in Pittsburgh, he's been in Kansas City and with Boston. That's where he pitched last year.
Andrew waits. Strong and missed. He chased an off-speed pitch down and away.
He's always had a nasty slider when he gets ahead in the count.
Grounded foul. That almost got Bobby Dews down the third base line. 0-2.
And again, Andrew, maybe the only Brave all night that's had this problem. Behind in the count, 0-2.
He's out of the batter's box for a moment, doing some cogitating.
And he's doing it in Papamiento.
Right you are, Joe Simpson. Belinda wants to talk to his catcher, who acquiesces and trots on out to the mound. 0-2 the count. Javi Lopez on deck. Line drive left field, base hit on an 0-2 pitch. 1 run is in. They'll hold him there. And so for the 4th time in 6 games, Reds pitchers have given up 10 or more runs. Andrew drives in the 2nd run of the year, and the bases are still loaded.
He's been behind the count so many times tonight. He just figured they're going to throw him another breaking ball, and they did. And he stayed on it. And even though he was out front a little bit, he reached it. One-handed it to left field for the ribby.
10-5 the score.
Probably just missed a grand slam his last time up.
A little icing on the cake. And there's a drive to deep left field. That ball is going to be out of here. Ask and you shall receive, Joe. It is 14-5.
Showed you his bases loaded numbers earlier tonight. Now he can tack on a grand slam for career numbers.
Well, you can shut the book on bonus.
Off-speed pitch. Javi stayed on it. He didn't hit that one as well as he hit the one that he hit foul, but it certainly counts a whole lot more.
I think he'll take it. Here's Mark Lemke. High and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Bonus, an inning and a third. A hit, 3 runs, 2 walks. Lemke tonight. 1 out of 2 with 2 walks. He scored 2 runs. 2-0 to count. Many of the fans head for the exits now. Very happy with what they've seen. Terrell Wade, Joe Borowski in the Atlanta bullpen. 3-0 the count to the Lemmer. Braves have been the recipient of 8 walks. They've pounded out 15 hits, and they've scored 14 runs. 3-1 to Lemke. Jeff Blauser on deck. Haven't needed Blauser tonight. He's been hitless. To the screen. 3-2.
Funny thing about Javi's RBIs this year, he now has 9. 4 came in a game against the Cubs here at Turner Field back on April 5th. And he has 4 of those 9 tonight.
Hard to believe we once trailed 2-0 in this game. Line into right center field. Nobody's going to get that ball. It's in for a hit and rolling deep. Markala around first. He's on his way to second. He'll pull in there with a double. just keep on coming.
That's number 16.
Boy, if these guys don't get their pitching staff turned around, it's going to be a disastrous year in Cincinnati. Despite the good everyday lineup they run out there.
It can be so disheartening when you're scoring runs and getting hits and trying to outscore everybody every night.
Mike Mordecai has moved on deck. He will pinch hit for Paul Bird. Melinda misses again. You're right, Andrew Jones is about the only guy who's been behind in the count when he's hit for Atlanta in this game. Breaking ball and a good one. 1-1 the count. Blauser has popped to second, grounded to short, walked, and grounded to third.
And in a game like this, there's always a designated ofer. Seems like always in a big scoring game, somebody takes a collar, and like it's going to be Blauser unless he rallies.
Fought that one off, but a foul. He's behind in the count, 1-2. All this has gone on. There's still only one out. Braves hit 4 slams last year. Ryan Fesco hit the last one on July 27th. Gets a little larger as we go along. Strike called outside corner, and Joe Simpson is right again. Your first for Cassidy is really impressive.
Well, I'll work on it and try to reduce it a little bit.
No, you want to keep as much first for
Oh, do I?
Cassidy as you can. Trust me.
I thought maybe I needed a deodorant.
No, I was going to talk to you about that after the game. Here's Mike Mordecai. Wearing our TBS jackets together, we look like Tiger Woods bodyguards or something.
Yeah, it's a little scary when you show up wearing the same thing as Skip.
Yeah, that's not good news. What would be worse would be to show up wearing the same thing in the same size as Skip. 0-1 the count. Mordecai takes outside. Well, I hope Greg McMichael wasn't pitching late in that game for the Mets, because they now trail the Giants 3-2 as they go to the ninth. 1-1 the count to Mike Mordecai. Runner at second, 2 out to pitch. 2-1. If he reaches base, it will mean the Braves have batted around twice in this game. What's everybody yelling at? Can you hear?
I think they're yelling at Dion, and he's playing to the crowd.
Three balls and a strike. Yeah, he said a directing there.
I tried that one night in Detroit. Not a good idea.
No, not in Detroit. Strike 2 call, 3-2. What happened?
Well, just suffice to say that the crowd got so loud in the bleachers in center field that through the radio microphones, Kathy back in Seattle could hear ugly taunts being yelled at her husband.
The 3-2 pitch. A little looper into right field. Sanders is there. Reggie Sanders, and the inning is over. But not before the Braves score 5 more runs. They do it on 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. There were no errors, and 1 runner was left. We go to the 8th inning now. It's a cakewalk, 14-5 Atlanta.
Innings, Colorado. A home run from Vinny Castilla, again his 6th. San Francisco came back. They now lead New York 3-2. That's the final. They came back, got 2 in the 8th, and held on to win it. The American League, Boston behind Tim Wakefield, a big winner over Oakland. Seattle got some runs early. They're making that stand up. Milwaukee shut out Detroit. Baltimore over Minnesota by a 4-2 count. Anaheim beating New York 5-1. 3-2 Kansas City beat Toronto. And they're still playing at Texas. 1-1 White Sox and Rangers.
And unfortunately, Greg McMichael was the loser for the Mets, and he's 1-1. Here's Perez to lead off against Joe Borowski around the Atlanta infield. A bunch of changes. Mike Mordecai at third base, Rafael Belliard at shortstop, Tony Graffinino at second, and Borowski in the middle of the diamond. High fly ball, pretty well hit into right center field. Lofton is back there. He calls for it. One away.
And Andrew Jones took a look at him this time.
Yeah.
As opposed to calling for the ball and not looking at his center fielder. Tonight, he watches Kenny Lofton and then veers off so as not to collide.
Here's Brett Boone, 1 out of 3, doubled and scored in the 6th, also drove in a run. Borowski into the line, and the pitch. Steve right through there. 0-1 the count. 14-5 Atlanta. Kent Merker and John Smoltz tomorrow night. Braves, barring one of the biggest stories in the history of sports, will take the lead in the Eastern Division with this victory by a half game over the Marlins. Tapper towards second. Graffinino up. 2 out. I don't know about you, Joe, but I honestly believe it's going to be a really good race between the Marlins and the Braves in the East. I think our pitching is good enough that we'll win it, but I think it's going to be terrific.
I think it'll make the Braves a better team all year long. They need somebody to push them. They are always at their best when someone is pushing them.
Ruben Sierra, the batter. He grounded to short on his only plate appearance. Downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. It could very well be that whoever finishes second in the East is the wild card team.
Absolutely. I think that'll be a contest maybe with somebody out in the Western Division.
3-0. It is now a 3-hour ball game. And that's okay when you score 14 runs and lead by 9.
Yeah, for a team that came out of the blocks a little slow offensively, the Braves have certainly got it turned around here at Turner Field. They're wearing people out in this ballpark.
Hector Carrasco begins to throw, and the count on Sierra is full, 3-2. He's the guy that said that he couldn't pitch for Ray Knight when he was sent down to Indianapolis in spring training. But here he is back pitching for Ray Knight. See how that works. Sierra draws a 2-out walk.
Borowski not happy with himself on that walk, but it's been a few days since he last worked.
Eddie Taubensee comes out, the pinch hit here for Brooke Fordyce.
About it for them, an extra man, isn't it?
Willie Green is the only man left. Runner at first, 2 down. Strike over the outside corner, 0-1. McGriff, of course, plays behind the runner at first base with a 9-run lead. 0-2 to Ed Taubensee. He's hitting .300 on the year. 6 out of 20 he's driven in 2 runs. High drive down the right field line. A long run for Andrew into the right field corner. Will he have room? He will in foul territory, and the inning is over. So no hits, no runs, no errors, a runner left. Bottom half of the 8th inning here. Braves are freezing. It's 14-5. Out of 31,427 have already headed for home. Ed Taubensee stays in the game to do the catching for the Reds. And Kenny Lofton, who's 4 out of 5 on the night with 4 runs scored, 2 driven in, and 2 stolen bases, leads it off. It's hard to believe that you could vote for somebody as player of the game who didn't hit a grand slam home run when somebody else did, but I think I'd have to pick Lofton. He's done everything to it. One and one is the count.
Led off the first inning with a line out. Led off the 3rd inning with a single and scored the Braves' first run of the night. And now leading off the 8th, so 3 different times in the ball game.
Lofton now hitting .382 for the year. So he has turned things around. The pitch, a high chopper. They better hurry. Boone can't even make the play. And there's a 5-hit game for Kenny Lofton.
Ties his career high.
This is where you start thinking in baseball, save some for tomorrow. The last time he did it was last year against the Twins. The only previous time he's gotten 5 hits in a game. That was on July 20th. I remember that game very well.
In Cleveland.
Was it? I just remember the game. Swing and a miss by Tucker. It's 0-1.
When was the last time a Brave had 5 hits in a game, Phil? Said he'd get back to this tomorrow.
This stretch.
I think that's what that meant.
Yeah, I think that indication was one more day. 1-1 the count. 14-17-0 for Atlanta. 5-7-1 for Cincinnati. Into right center field. Nobody's going to get that ball either. All the way to the wall. Lofton is going to cruise in. Tucker around second. He's not even slowing down. He heads for third, and he's in there sliding. It's 15-5, and Lofton has 5 hits. He's scored 5 runs, and Tucker drives in his 4th run of the year. He's the most of the game. He now has 9 overall.
Speaking of players of the game.
Yeah.
3 RBIs yesterday, 4 tonight. Stayed right down on that sinker. Boy, was that a good swing.
Those 2 guys can fly.
Ooh, is that fun to watch. Looks like a merry-go-round when they're going.
Tony Graffinino stands in and pops one into short center. Tucker tags. Let's see. Here's the catch. He just bluffs. Now he's coming, and he is out of there. That was a funny-looking play. Came halfway, sort of slowed down, and then started again.
I think he's probably mad at himself for changing his mind because he had no intentions of scoring. But when he saw Dion's throw go airborne, he decided to try it anyway. Dion's throw was very high, and there was no cutoff man. But the problem was in a hesitation.
Here's Fred McGriff. Didn't mean to. A little chopper on the third base line. Will it stay fair? It'll stay fair. And Fred has himself an infield hit.
Unreal.
And Andrew Jones is 2 out of 3 with a couple of walks. Gets another trip. Atlanta hits in the game. Yeah, Ryan Plesko is going to run from McGriff, and he'll take over at first base just to get a little time in at that position.
4 RBIs for Michael Tucker, by the way, a career high.
That's right. He tied his previous one yesterday. 3. I wonder where Kent Merker is charting this game. What a cut. 0-1.
Phil tells me that last year Fred McGriff had 5 hits in a game twice, and Terry Pendleton had 5 hits in it.
Terry, by the way, is on the disabled list with the Cincinnati team. He tore up a knee in spring training. 0-2 the count.
I saw him before the game briefly. He said he's getting close.
Can he pitch? They use him there. It's got to get better in the pitching department, or they're in for a long year. Out of play. Fan from. Ooh. One fan trying to make that play took a header over the back of the seat, but it appears to be all right. Last year, the most runs the Braves scored was 18 against the Cubs. That was on May 20th. Struck him out, and the inning comes to a close. The Braves settle for 1 on 3 hits and leave 1. We go to the 9th inning with your score 15-5 Atlanta. Most runs scored in a game, 5. The only other Brave to do that, Lonnie Smith, back on May 6, 1989. Ryan Fusco stays in the game at first base for the Braves. And Terrell Wade comes on to finish it up. Borowski won an inning of hitless ball. He walked 1. Allowed no runs. So some guys who really haven't gotten much of a chance to pitch getting a chance tonight. This is good for Wade, who just today, Bobby, decided would not pitch Wednesday afternoon, that he'd come back with Greg Maddux with all the off days ahead. Here's Green to pinch hit for Belinda, who went an inning and 2/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts, and a homer. And the pitch is a strike. And the 9th inning is underway. Kent Merker and John Smoltz tomorrow night. John Smiley, Greg Maddux on Wednesday. Wade deals, and a drive into right field is well hit. Jones is back there, though, and hauls it in, 1 down.
Let me ask you a question. As good as Greg Maddux is, given a choice of working on a couple of days short rest and pitching on full rest against the Rockies, it might make your choice a little easier, wouldn't it?
Maybe so, yeah. Here's Dion. He's had a good night. 2 out of 3, 4 stolen bases, 1 run scored. He struck out his last time. Upstairs, 1 ball, no strikes.
The Reds started this game like they were going to be the ones on the good side of a blowout. They had 2 runs and 4 hits in the first 2 innings.
Dion's let the sideburns grow a little longer than when he was with us. I don't guess he and Jerry Jones will be doing any pizza commercials this year, huh? He decides
about that.
Stay with the baseball team. 3-0 the count. If he gets on, I bet you he'll be running, despite the 15-5 score. Steve Reich, 3-1. Look through the Reds media guide. It's shocking that on the cover, all you see are baseball players, no dogs.
A nice media guide, too, isn't it?
It is, yeah. 3-2 pitch. High pop foul, left side. Mordecai comes over near the dugout. That's an out last year in the old place, but it's not this year. Sanders stays alive. It's 3-2. Boston beat Oakland 10-1. Seattle over Cleveland 6-1. Kansas City beat Toronto 3-2. Milwaukee shut out Detroit 7-0. Baltimore beat Minnesota 4-2. Well hit for 2 out. Anaheim beat the Yankees 5-1 in the National League. They won't put it on the board for some reason. But Houston beat St. Louis 4-2. The Giants beat the Mets 3-2, and Colorado beat Montreal 10-8. So 2 are out. Jeff Branson, the batter. You have our official permission if you patronize our sponsor to go walk your dog. This one is just fly. 0-1 the count. By the way, the White Sox in Texas 1-1 after 7.5 down in Arlington. And Baltimore beat Minnesota 4-2. I don't know if I mentioned that. Branson has batted once in the game, grounded to short.
I think if there's one thing that if Kent Merker was charting this game, watching our broadcast or seeing how his teammates were working, the one thing he knows he'll have to do tomorrow is pitch ahead in the count.
The remaining fans on their feet here. They want Terrell to end it with a flourish. Little squibber down the third base line. That's going to go for a hit. Well, we had a couple of those ourselves. We keep complaining. Here's Barry Larkin.
I'd smile too, Jeff. Take every one of those you can get.
Yeah, somewhere along the line there'll be a line drive hit like a rocket that somebody will catch. Barry Larkin is the batter. I'm surprised he's pulling around players. I'm surprised he has played this far into this game with that hamstring or that Achilles problem. There's no activity in the Atlanta bullpen.
See that C on his shirt above the Cincinnati. That's because he's the first captain they've had since Dave Concepcion some years ago.
Oh, and 1. TV time 7:35 tomorrow night. What's our movie after the game, Danny? Tainted Blood. Oh, that's fun. The 0-1 pitch. Line drive, right field, base hit. Tell you what, another 14, 15 hits, 8 or 9 walks, 2 or 3 errors, I'll be right back in this thing.
It can happen.
I bet it doesn't. No, I just bet it won't happen. Here's Reggie Sanders. Javi on his way to the mound.
This game may be a cakewalk for the Braves with a 10-run lead and 2 out in the ninth, but for Terrell Wade, it's mighty important. Got 2 outs on some line drives, yes, but he wants to get out of this. And made a good pitch on Branson that kept the inning going far enough as far as Terrell's concerned.
2 on, 2 out. Braves up by 10. Right off his thumbs that time. 0-1. Sanders has been hit by a pitch, struck out, singled and scored, and grounded to second. Wade is the 5th Atlanta pitcher. The first of whom, Denny Nagle, will get the win. One and 1 the count. Yeah, this is a lot of fun to win one like this, but it's just one game. You got to. This game can humble you. Got all this means absolutely nothing when you tee it up tomorrow. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, I think that's one of the hardest things to learn to accept as a ball player is how many times you fail. You get a lot of opportunities to bounce back and erase those failures, and tomorrow everybody starts clean.
The 1-2 pitch. Here it is. Chopper to short. Belliard has it to second, and the Braves come away winners. See, Joe, I told you. 2 hits, no runs. No errors, 2 left. Braves hammer the Reds tonight, pounding out 19 hits, and they win the game 15-5.
Yeah, high fives all around, especially for Kenny Lofton, our AutoZone player of the game. 5 for 6. The 1 out he made was a line drive out, leading off the ball game. Here's a collection of hits. That's a single into left field in the 3rd inning. He later stole a base and scored a run. This is in the 4th inning, a base hit to left. That drove in a run. He later scored his 2nd run of the game. In the 5th inning, a high fastball sliced to left. Eric Owens can't make the catch. Another run scored. His second RBI of the night. He scored on that turnaround. In the 7th, they hit a stolen base and a run scored. And then his 5th hit of the night, a bouncer up the middle that Barry Larkin couldn't handle. Quite a night for Kenny Lofton. Braves, quite a night for them, too. 15-5, a winner over the Reds. Back to wrap things up right after this. Of their last 18 road games as the Braves hammer them tonight. 15-5, 15 runs, 19 hits for the Braves, 5-9-1 for the Reds. Cincinnati left 7. The Braves stranded 11 runners, even though they did have 15 runs in. Denny Nagel, the winner, even though his ERA gets bumped up to 5.29. Pete Schurik, the loser, his ERA actually dropped down to 10.8, if you can believe that. Javi Lopez, his first career grand slam. The Braves are 6-1 at home, and they're averaging 6.6 runs per game here.
And they'll send John Smoltz to the mound tomorrow against Kent Merker. We'll have it for you at 7:35 Eastern Time. Coming up next, psychotic twins with the potential to kill are the focus of an investigative reporter in Tainted Blood. Part of Movies to Die For. That's coming up next here on the Superstation. For Joe Simpson, Pete Van Weeren, Don Sutton, our TBS crew. Skip Carey from Turner Field. See you tomorrow. So long, everybody.
Leading sports television into the 21st century, this has been an exclusive presentation of Turner Sports.